Yeah, Johnny, we're here at Natasha Jonas, Mikaela Mayer weigh-in today. I mean, we've been around it all week. What's your initial thoughts on this contest?
Good vibe, good energy. I think the context is this. Listen, Natasha, lovely girl. I think she's been, she's so smart for our sport. I work alongside her. She knows it inside out. I do believe if she loses this fight, she only loses it because of pace. Everything else she has power, she has skill, she has knowledge. She's deep in knowledge in regards to Mikaela Mayer. So she knows far too much. But I think at 39 years old, no matter how good you are, what you're doing, pace is going to make you drop a little bit. If you drop that pace a little bit, if you're coming up across someone that keeps the pace up, doing 2-minute rounds, 10 2-minute rounds, that will be the only problem. There'll be no other problem. And if she can control that pace, Natasha wins, hands down.
I mean, look, both girls started their careers at super featherweight. Natasha obviously had her setbacks, the Terry Harper fight, and then moving up to lightweight and boxing Katie Taylor. And it looked like, is she going to get over the line? Is she just going to hit the post? Is she going to be the nearly girl? She jumps up to super welterweight, beats Chris Namas in style. She hasn't looked back since then. You know, she's gone from strength to strength, dropped down to welterweight. Mikaela Mayer, after losing to Alicia Baumgardner back in 2022, moved up to lightweight, then super lightweight. But has she developed into a full-grown welterweight? And could that be the difference in this fight?
I actually think it's been easier for her than what people realise, because I think she blows up above the weight. I've seen in between fights, she's a bit chubby, she looks a bit full of back's massive. So the thing is, she can actually get down to lower weights if she wants to, but she doesn't have to try as hard. So walking around that weight is probably something she does normally on a regular basis. So now I don't think the weight's going to be an issue. I think the strength and the speed that she carries will actually give Natasha problems, but I do believe Natasha is dogged. She's determined enough. She's got that much pride. You've got two fighters that have got pride about themselves. This, to start January 24, on the 25th of January, Saturday night, this could be contender for Fight of the Year so early, because you've got two fighters that, you know, if you know your boxing, and if you're fans of either of them, you're going to get excited about it.
I mean, how important is it, the homecoming for Natasha Jonas? You know, she's in the MES arena, 6,000 odd tickets there. How important is that crowd going to be? Because like you say there, we know how Mikaela Mayer fights. She comes forward, she's a workhorse. She doesn't mind getting in there. She doesn't mind having a little trade-off. You know, and like you say, as those rounds wear on, how important is the crowd going to be for Natasha?
I think for Natasha, I spoke to her about it. She said to me, once I walk down the ramp, I miss GB. I can be anywhere. I don't care. You know, and that, I mean, she don't care about the cheers or the boos. So once she walks down the ramp, until that point, she loves it. She walks about with a big smile on her face. You've seen the mural on the wall. She's going out, she's out and about. Some fighters, when you're having a fight in the hometown, they want to get away from it. So, but when you're in your hometown, everybody's saying, good luck tomorrow, good luck next week. Everybody's got an opinion. You've got to be able to block that out. She loves that. She loves that responsibility. She'll love the responsibility that when she walks in and the crowd are going mad, she thinks,
she feeds off it.
I'm the spear of this arrow. And so she actually loves that.
See, but some people, like, I was talking to her yesterday about that, and I said, like, I used to get really emotional fighting in front of my home crowd, and like you control those emotions, and you take it to where you are. She said, no, I don't do that. I enjoy that moment, switch off, bang, or do the walk, and that's what it is. Like different individuals, different mindsets, etc. Mikaela says that she loves boxing here. 4th time she's boxed here, and she said, you know what, this could be the first time actually. And I said, no, it will be the first time. You're in Liverpool. You know, they're passionate about their sport. I said, it will be the first time where the crowd will be against you. So do you think that's important?
So Mikaela's has a mentality a bit like I had. I love boxing away from home. I love going to the Lions Den because it usually brought the best out of me. Because when everybody's baying for your blood and giving you abuse, you're thinking, all I've got is me. You know, so I'm going to get one of you, and that's going to be him in the corner. And I think Mikaela, she will not be intimidated. She came in with a bit of a swagger yesterday to the presser. She'll do the same again. When it comes to her entrance, she'll make sure she tries to stink out whatever Natasha you're doing. As far as she's concerned, this show is about her. And again, I think both fighters are focused enough and professional enough to block out the influence of the crowd.
This is about legacy, really, for Natasha Jonas, isn't it? Become a 2-weight world champion. Like you say, you know, it's been an incredible fairy tale journey, and it is all about legacy. Look, I want to talk about a fight that's on the undercard, British and Commonwealth super middleweight title. Jack Cullen, last time out, picked up the British and Commonwealth title against Mark Heffron in a brilliant performance. You know, one where he was actually underdog. Going in against Zach Chelli, they boxed before, they boxed back in 2020, controversial draw. How do you see that one going?
You know, I think this fight, Zach Chelli, remember now, he's no longer working with his dad in the corner. He's now got a new trainer. I sense there's been some upheaval.
What is that, by the way?
Yeah. Well, when I touched on it, he said, "Well, he's still my dad, but I'm working with somebody else now," and he kind of cut the conversation. Now, regardless of what's going on in your personal business, that your home life is supposed to be the stability side of it. If there's an issue now that he's training, he's no longer got the voice of his dad, no matter what the argument is, and he's having to go with somebody else, he's got the guilt of that. But also he's got to try and stay focused and think, right, I've got to prove to my dad I've made the right decision. So his battle is not only with Cullen, it's with himself, with his dad, have I made the right decision? So that's that one. For Cullen, on the other hand, Cullen said, Zach Chelli's not grown as a fighter. He's not changed as a fighter. He's just become more intense. He said, I've grown and changed as a fighter. I'm a better inside fighter than I am an outside fighter. You wouldn't think so because of the height and reach of it. But he said, I've got a bit more to going for me. Plus, Chelli lost to somebody from my gym. So I know the blueprint to beating him. So again, I think one fighter believes he's learnt enough to outfox the other, whereas in Chelli, I think Chelli knows he needs to he needs to put the pressure on and prove something to himself, to his dad, to everybody else around him.
How do you see that fight going? It was like, the same thing with Jack Cullen. He's been that guy that's always been the sort of nearly man, got there, challenged for European titles, lost European titles, never got quite, over the final hurdle. He's now done that against Heffron. He's now become British and Commonwealth champion. Johnny, as a fighter, that will improve you 10%, 15%, and is that the difference going into this?
That's why I'd edge him going into this, but it wouldn't surprise me if Zach Chelli, because he's so strong, fiercely strong, it wouldn't surprise me if Zach Chelli just picked him at the post, but I would lean towards Cullen.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, listen, someone else I spoke to yesterday was Liam Smith. He was here.
I'm sure
I had a good conversation with him and said to him, listen, look, now we look back, you reflect on what happened with Eubank. You went in there, you wasn't 100% fit. I think we knew the rumours. You could see that the ankle was turning. He had a bad back. He said, look, I had to go in there. I had to take that fight. And you could see him on performance that I wasn't fully fit. So they've gone one apiece, but he give Eubank that return. He give him that opportunity. I said to him, what about the trilogy? He said, listen, don't write that off. The trilogy is still there, and he's looking at other options as well. He said, one thing is, I'm not retiring. I'd love the Eubank fight. I don't know where Eubank's going to go. There's other options out there. We've seen Kell Brook actually popping up. Kell Brook and Chris Eubank Jr. has been rumoured. He's from your gym, Kell. You're a good friend of yours. I mean, got any information on that?
There's also the Ben, the Conor Benn situation. Unfortunately, Conor Benn's a bit like a poisoned chalice because of what's happening around him in his career. Any licensed British fighter would be dragging themselves into an argument that's not there. It's fighting him. So even though the fights are intriguing, they just can't, for their own professional career, get involved in Conor until Conor sorts his situation out with the board. In regards to Kell, in regards to a rematch, I think a rematch against Eubank is in a position now where he can pick the best fruit off the tree. Yeah. He's going to do what's best for him. And does that fight sell better than something else he might have lined up? You don't know. If there's nothing else around, say let's do it. Because I've proved it once. It won't happen. I turned you over. So again, I think Liam will want that more than Chris does.
Where do you see Liam going from here? Let's take Eubank out of the equation.
Okay,
Chris goes and looks for a world title.
Okay.
What's the other options for Liam?
The other options are if Kell, which I doubt very much, decides to step out of retirement, there's got to be a massive carrot there for him. I don't believe there's a carrot big enough. Because
you think he stays retired?
Stays retired. I think he loves the idea of it, and I think if you keep offering him ridiculous dough, he'll probably say, yeah, but it's got to be ridiculous. So he'll stay retired. He's actually come at peace with himself. To turn up ringside, to sit down, he's actually good with that. And people saying, do you want to fight? He's not going to say no because he's a fighter. We're out of it for years. We'll say, yeah, I'll fight him, but he's a fighter in his brain.
So the rumour of him, Eubank Jr, possibly happening?
No. It's been thrown out there. Now I'm telling you now, I'm writing it off. I know what's been said, and I know what's been said publicly. I'd be very surprised unless they put a proper big packet of food there for him to come out of retirement for. And I don't think they're paying him enough to do it.
Another fighter I want to talk about is Callum Smith. We saw him going out there, Better Biev last weekend. He went out to try and do the impossible, if I'm totally honest, against Better Biev. And I mean, I was one of the guys that felt that he had a real opportunity, a real chance, just because of that check left hook. And we saw Better Biev the way he was reaching in against Anthony Yarde, and I sort of misjudged how good he was. Yeah,
and
what was your thoughts on that performance?
I think the problem is with Callum is and it's happened with a lot of fighters that were our fighters. We get lost in nostalgia. Remember how they were. Remember what they're capable of doing. And I'm not saying Callum's passing the best. What I'm saying is, we've seen a better version of Callum. So remember, Callum's confidence, his heart was broken once he got turned over by Canelo Alvarez. And that, I think, it made a massive difference because he now realise, wow, that's what that's what it's like to lose, but get beat up. Now he's going in with Beterbiev. Beterbiev's there, and he knows, when he was in the fight and he's trying to slip, he's trying to roll up against the ropes. He actually looked worse than what he actually was because he wasn't getting hit as much. But because he's so tall and gangly, he's up against the ropes trying to bob left to right. Beterbiev is short. He just stood there, and Dominic Ingle got his spot right when he saw Lomachenko with the ball. The tennis ball, he's hit the tennis ball. That's what Beterbiev was doing, touching, bam, just touching him, and it made it so much easier for him. And so he got a beating. I think the only 2 rounds I gave him were 2 and 6, but he got a beating. So how would that affect him? I think on a domestic level, there's some mad fights there for him on the domestic level.
Is he willing to go? Like, I've asked him this.
Can you imagine him in with Buatsi?
Yeah.
Can you imagine him in with Dan Aziz?
Anthony Yarde. You got the names.
There's fights there for him. But not over that hill.
But would he be willing to go, like, listen, you think about it, he's English, British, Commonwealth, European, World, Ring Magazine, World Boxing Super Series champion. You go, he's been at that level, he's been at that elite level. Is he willing to come back down and give these young guns, when you think about Cole Froch when he was coming through against Calzaghe was like, you're not having your chance.
And that's the problem, because I always thought, once I became champion, I thought, I'm up there. And if I lose, that means I'm no longer the best in the world, so why am I messing about here? So again, if it's one of those situations where they offer him enough money and they make money, they're God and think, I'll go for the dough. I think Callum's earned a lot of money, and he's a sensible, level-headed guy, and I think he'd struggle if he truly and really thought he was no longer a world-class fighter.
And also, when you've built a legacy like Callum's built, and you'll know this better than anyone as well, like, you don't want to lose to another British guy. When you've got the young guns like, Aziz, Buatsi, Yarde, you don't want to pass the baton to one of those.
So what you just said there is the same conversation I've had with Kell.
Yeah.
I said, Kell, listen, look what you've done. Do you really want to risk losing to Chris Eubank Jr? Do you really want to risk losing to Conor Benn? Because you'll never live with yourself. Yeah. And I told him about
the fights you'll remember
right? But I told him about when he fought Amir Khan, and I was out 2 nights before with Ricky Hatton. Ricky Hatton, to this day, we're talking 15 years later, he's still, to this day, his heart's still broken by getting knocked out against Mayweather.
Yeah.
It's killing him. I said, don't make money of God. And I think Callum's going to be the same. He would struggle to get turned over, just like Liam's struggling to getting turned over by Eubank. He's struggling. I don't care what you say. He'd struggle to get turned on. When you've been at that level, that high, that achievement, I think it'd be very, very hard to actually go there.
Do we see Callum in a ring again? Do we see Liam in a ring again? Do you think they box? Do you think they retire? I mean, they're both contemplating it right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and that's why I think. And these guys are family men. These guys have made some money, and these guys are not going to make the numbers up.
Yeah.
So unless they get offered something ridiculous, unless they get, it's something you can't refuse, I'll be very surprised. They'll be out the ring too long.
I want to finish on a great British fight.
And the other thing is this on those two.
Go.
If they haven't got anything, why are other fighters going to get in with them? Because it's low, it's high risk, low reward.
Yeah, sure.
They're in the who needs him club.
Yeah.
You fight them because you've got to, not because you want to.
Yeah.
That's how I'd say with him.
Listen, February the 3rd, we get Dan Aziz and Joshua Buatsi. Joshua Buatsi, WBA number 1. Dan Aziz, WBA number 2. Bivol, obviously the champion. We know what's going on with him and Beterbiev. They'll be fighting possibly in June. But they put themselves in an unbelievable position, the winner of that fight. I mean, how good is that? Break it down. Who wins, John?
Well, you know what? Dan's my man. I'm a massive fan of his. I love his growth. I love him doing it the traditional way. But I believe Buatsi is the one that has the more skill. And I think it's not a secret. So therefore, it's about attitude and game plan when it comes to getting in the ring. Dan has the biggest heart in the world. Dan is like, you can't doubt him because you've seen his meteoric rise to how he's got through to this stage here. I love that. I'm him. Where's Buatsi? Buatsi is familiar with Dan. And so therefore, like we saw Anthony Joshua against Wallin, he boxed like the guy he should box because he was familiar with him. He is familiar with Dan Aziz, so therefore you will see an absolute boxing exhibition from him. Dan's job is to break his heart, break him out of that mold, break him out of that rhythm, because if he doesn't, he gets stopped.
Well,
But it's going to be a tight, hard fight.
And listen, it's funny because I spoke to Dan about this and I said to him, listen, your mindset going in, you used to look up to Joshua Buatsi. He was the man when he's going out boxing for the Olympics and whatnot. You're the kid coming through. You used to spar together, and he was the guy, right? I said, so how do you break that now going in there? But he then flipped it to me and said something very, very key. And I thought, you know what? This kid's in the right headspace right now. He went, listen, Joshua Buatsi believes that we can turn up and he's going to win this fight because he knows where we was both at.
Feeling.
He said, what happens when I'm still there in round 10, plugging away, he said, and I break his soul, steal his soul in many ways. I went, you're in the right headspace right here, so he knows what he's going into.
The cliff fall will be faster for Buatsi when that happens. I've been in the gym where guys have beat me up, then all of a sudden I've surpassed them and they still can't get their head round the fact that, well, I'm better than him. And we get into sparring, I'm battering him like they can't get over it. And that is such a great place to be in. Because once the bully, once the top dog starts to tumble, because things aren't going his way, he tumbles fast.
Sure.
And that's why I get where Dan is, and I get that belief. And to me, it's a great fight.
Who wins? It's a pick'em, right?
It's a pick'em. It's a pick'em. It's a tough one. It's a pick'em. I struggle with that one. Do I go for Dan's tenacity and want the desire? Or do I go for the skill? I've got to go for skill. I'd lean towards Buatsi, but you know what? I'm just saying what I see.
Well, listen, let's finish off on what we've got here today. We're at the weigh-in. Natasha Jonas, Michaela Mayer. Who wins on Saturday night and how?
I think Natasha Jonas wins Saturday night. One, because Michaela Mayer will be lacking in experience in certain aspects of this fight, and she doesn't realise how determined and how skillful Natasha is. Remember, this girl, all the way through what she's been through, she's won, lost and drawn. She's been at the top, she's been at the bottom. She's at the twilight of her career where she's boxing to the best of her ability and getting paid mad money. So
Is she winning the distance?
No, this goes the distance, but it's a hard fought 10 2-minute rounds.
Brilliant. Johnny, as always, my friend, thanks so much.
We roll, that's how we roll.